What is up, fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Dapper Snapper Gaming channel, and welcome back to How Do I Want to Do This? This is our series where we take a look at all playable options available to players in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, and then we rank them on a scale of 1 to 10, and then either build them or fix them, depending on how they rank. Now, today is our final Blood Hunter video of our series talking about the Blood Hunter. Now, we will probably revisit this later, and this could be used as a multi-classing option in the future as well. So we're not necessarily done with talking about the Blood Hunter forever, just as far as featuring it necessarily in one of these standard builds. Then we will do so. So before we jump in, make sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe if you haven't already. As you can see, it is most people who watch this channel who are not subscribed. Now our numbers are getting better, which is fantastic. So let's just keep the ball rolling, right? So thank you all for those of you who have subscribed, and I encourage all of you who have not to go ahead and do that as well. Go ahead and click the bell so you're notified whenever I upload new videos, and of course share with your friends. It really helps out the channel. And for today, I wanted to have a question of the day. We had the 3 new patrons added in this week. Actually, it was really funny timing how I was editing Tuesday's video, which will be up in the iCard right there, and that was the day that Matt added the final 3 patrons. So which of these patrons is your favorite? That's what I want to know down in the comments below. Which Profane Soul patron is your favorite? And maybe we'll do a build on one of those, since I only have to choose one today. Maybe we'll do another one in the future, depending on what you say in the comments. So today's build is pretty fun. I think it's interesting. It's not super complicated, but it has some really fun choices. And I think that you're going to really be happy with this one. Very light multi-classing, very predictable multi-classing, but maybe some other unpredictabilities along the way. And we will see what those are as we go. So let's jump into the build. Level 1, we choose our race. I'm going to recommend custom lineage or variant human, whichever is better for your table. Yeah, we want a free feat here because we need a lot of feats on this build. We want a lot of them. And I think that we're going to get a lot out of all of these feats. So what I'm going to suggest here at level 1 is Warcaster. And you may be thinking, Dapper, why are you taking Warcaster at level 1? You can't cast spells as a Blood Hunter, so are you starting elsewhere? And the answer is yes, I'm starting elsewhere, but not with a spellcasting class even. So yeah, you may be a little confused. Don't worry, we will be using this very soon, but I wanted to have this online now, and it will help us out in the very near future. But what it will do is it will give us advantage on concentration checks, which is great. We can perform somatic components of spells while both of our hands are occupied, which they will be for the entirety of this build. And we can use spells as opportunity attacks. That's another big one that I really need for this, and you'll see why here in just a little bit. As far as our stats go, again, our better standard array here that we always use, we're going to put a 17 in strength. I know we haven't done a strength-based build yet, because normally dex ones are better, but honestly, I really like this one. This one's going to be a lot of fun. So 17 strength, 15 intelligence, 13 constitution, 12 dex, 10 wisdom, 8 charisma, with our +2 going into our strength, and gives us a 19. So very good start. Now, equipment I normally don't get super into. Normally I just say take the standard stuff, but for this one I wanted you to go ahead and take a polearm here. So I'm going to recommend taking a glaive, but any polearm will work. But I would prefer taking one that does slashing damage. Otherwise you may have to change part of the build later. But take a polearm that deals slashing damage. And so I'm going to go with the glaive, and I think you'll have a lot of fun with that. Level 1, we're not starting Blood Hunter, we're starting Fighter. I know, big shocker, I know, Fighter is just so common, but we get so much out of one level of Fighter here. We get our concentration checks are better because we get the proficiency with Constitution saving throws. It's hard to pass that up, first of all. Second, we get all armor proficiency, as well as shields, as well as weapons, and all those things. So we get all of our proficiencies all packed into this one package, and it helps us with our spell casting, with concentration, and there's just so much that we get here at this beginning stage that I just don't
think I can pass up. I really need to take this. So we're going to take this, and we get a fighting style. I'm going to recommend defense so that you can raise your armor class once again. And our strength is going to be really good on this character. So the moment you can get as high of an armor class as you can go, the best armor you can get, you just buy it. So we're going for full plate as soon as you can afford it. Do that. It's awesome. We also get second wind. So second wind allows us to heal a little bit as a bonus action of 1 plus your fighter of 1d10 plus your fighter level, and so that's pretty cool as well. We're not going to be taking a ton of levels into fighter, so this isn't going to be super great, but 1d10 is 1d10, right? I'll take that for free as a bonus action. Why not? So level 2. Now we're a Blood Hunter. Yeah, we're only taking 1 level of fighter for now. We might revisit later, and we'll just have to see. But I don't want to delay our spells, and I don't want to delay our blood curses, our everything, our entire thing. I don't want to delay. So we're going straight to Blood Hunter at level 2. So we get our Hunter's Bane and our Blood Maledict. As far as your curses go, feel free to take ones that require a saving throw. So our intelligence is going to be pretty good on this build. So feel free to go for that. So the Eyeless, Fallen Puppet, Marked, and Bloated Agony are all really good ones that I recommend. Of course, there are some that are a little bit more situational, and make sure to reread them because we've actually had a couple that were reworded and were buffed slightly, so you may find those a little bit better. But you know, I still think that these are some of your better ones, but make sure to reread those because some of them have gotten improved slightly. So then at level 2, Blood Hunter 2, level 3 overall, we get a fighting style again. Now we're going to take Great Weapon Fighting because we really don't have anything else to take, and that's why we didn't take Great Weapon Fighting earlier, because our options are so limited as a Blood Hunter. So this allows us to roll 1s and 2s on the damage die, which is okay. Overall, it's not going to make a huge difference. I know it seems like it could with such a great damage dealing weapon, but it's really not all that much of a difference, at least in my experience anyway. We also get Crimson Rights here as well. Pick your favorite one, whichever is appropriate to your character and to your campaign. Again, if you're going on a campaign through, you know, the 9 hells and you're dealing with things that are all immune to fire, probably don't take the fire one. You know, just be smart. I would say the thunder one is probably going to be your least resisted, but it's totally up to you. If that's not the flavor of your character, don't do that. It's all about the flavor, right? I'm here for the mechanical stuff. You're here for the role-playing stuff. There's a way to meet in the middle on that. Then in Blood Hunter 3, we get our subclass, and we make a dark pact with an otherworldly being. And now this script was written pre the addition of all the other additions, and you know, I considered changing it, but I like this build. I like this build as it is, and so we're gonna keep it here. But let me know in the comments below if you would like to see builds based on some of the other patrons, especially 2 of the 3 brand new ones. They're not bad, and they've got some really cool stuff in them, and we can definitely make that work. So you just let me know down there, and we'll see what we can do. So for our otherworldly patron, we're going with the Archfey. The Archfey gives us a lot of really cool options. It was one that I talked about very highly in Tuesday's video, and it's one of the better ones, if not the best of the originals. So what do we get as a Archfey Profane Soul Blood Hunter? There's a lot there. We get some cantrips. For now, Eldritch Blast, of course, because, you know, Eldritch Blast, it's one of the best cantrips in the game. And then pick your favorite besides that. There are a lot of really good ones on the Warlock spell list, but whatever you want. As far as first level spells, I would recommend things like Armor of Agathis. I like that as a defensive spell. It allows you to deal back some damage when you are attacked, and it also gives you some temporary HP and that sort of thing. So a lot of really good stuff out of that spell. Definitely take Hex. Hex is going to be our concentration spell for the most part, because it's just free extra damage. Why not? And then Charm Person. Charm Person is another really good one here at level 1. Blood Hunter 4. We get our first ASI or a feat, and we're only 1 level late for once. Normally we go a lot deeper into our multiclassing. But we need another feat. So now that we can cast spells, we now meet a requirement that we needed in order to take the next feat that I wanted to take. I would love to have taken this at level 1, but we can't, because you have to be able to cast at least one spell to take Spell Sniper. So Spell Sniper is going to be our next feat here, and we get a lot of really cool benefits from this. So we double the range of all of our attack roll spells. Cool. We ignore 1/2 and 3/4 cover, and we also learn 1 cantrip. Now the cantrip we're going to pick up here is Booming Blade. Booming Blade is a wonderful cantrip that I hope you did not pick up last level, because you can take it now. And if you did pick it up last level, you can just pick up a different one now. It's fine. But Booming Blade is really, really nice. The reason is, when you cast this cantrip, you make your weapon attack as part of the cantrip, and then you get some extra damage added on, which is really, really good. It also forces the creature to take damage if they move. And so now we kind of have our core set up here. And this is why we took our Warcaster at level 1. The range of our Booming Blade is 5 feet. However, we're holding a polearm. The range of that is 10 feet. So we need to double that range. Well, Spell Sniper allows us to double the range, so now we can use that with our polearm. And now when someone is trying to leave our attack radius, we get to make an opportunity attack by casting Booming Blade because of Warcaster, allowing us to cast a spell as an opportunity attack. Isn't this great? It's great how these two work together with Booming Blade and a polearm and all of the things. I love this combination here, and I think it works really well on a Blood Hunter, because then you're also dumping your right damage onto this, and you're going to be dealing the extra damage as they try to run out of your radius. On the Booming Blade, it's going to scale with you as a cantrip does, and so there's just so much synergy here, just within these first 5 levels, and I think you guys are going to be really happy with that. But that's not where we're stopping. We are keeping going. Next, at Blood Hunter 5, we of course get extra attack. So right in time, right? So we just got Spell Sniper, so we can do that. Now we can just go ham, which is great. We can just make 2 attacks, or we can cast a spell. We will fix something here in just a minute. So we can make 2 attacks, or we can cast a spell, whichever one you want. You can't cast 2 spells unless you have Action Surge, but we'll get to that here in just a little bit. At Blood Hunter 6, we get our Brand of Castigation, so we get to brand things, and it deals a little bit of extra damage based on our Intelligence modifier, and we get our second use of our Blood Maledict, which is great. What I'm rushing for is Blood Hunter 7. Blood Hunter 7 gives us a decent amount of things here. Number 1, we get our Mystic Frenzy. So whenever we cast a cantrip, we can then make an extra attack with our weapon. That's awesome. So essentially, we now have extra attack whether or not we want to use Booming Blade or not. So we can either make 2 normal attacks, or we can go Booming Blade plus extra attack. That's awesome. And that's as a bonus action. So really, really cool. That's neat. So we also get Revealed Arcana, which gives us the Blur spell that we can cast once per day using a spell slot. I personally do like the Blur spell, and so you're going to have to choose between Blur and Hex on which one you really want to focus on, and that can just be a fight-by-fight basis. And then we get another Primal Rite here, which is really cool. And then we also get second level spells. There's so much here at Blood Hunter 7. For second level spells, again, I would take some things that require a saving throw, such as Crowd of Madness and Hold Person, but also things like Invisibility and Misty Step are really, really nice for getting around, for popping around the battlefield, especially Misty Step. Really, really useful as well. At Blood Hunter 8, we're taking another feat. And you might be thinking, well, Dapper, yeah, of course, Polearm Master's coming up next, and you would be wrong. We're not taking Polearm Master. We're actually not taking Polearm Master at all on this build, and the reason is I'm going to tell you during the honorable mentions. And it's actually very important that you stick around for that, because there's a very important rules distinction, and I'll throw up the tweet by Matt Mercer and everything that is about this rules distinction. Very important playing a Blood Hunter. We'll talk about that when we get to the end. But we're going to take Great Weapon Master instead. And so this wasn't terribly unpredictable, but Great Weapon Master is something that we can apply with our two-handed weapon, which is great. So if we crit or drop something to 0, we can make a bonus action attack. We can already make a bonus action attack if we cast a cantrip, so this may end up doubling up, but this gives us more use of our extra attack feature. So attack twice, if it drops to 0, we get a third attack. So that could come in handy, which is pretty nice. But more so, if we take a -5 to hit and a +10, we get a +10 to the damage on every attack, and that's awesome. That's a lot of damage. So yeah, definitely use that as we do better. And you might be thinking, well, I would definitely be more inclined to do that if you would max out the strength. And to that I say, working on it. We'll get there. It's fine. So then at what would be Blood Hunter 9, we're gonna go Fighter 2. So we're going to jump back to Fighter to grab Action Surge. I wanted to make sure we had Great Weapon Master first, but now we have Action Surge. So now we could, in theory, cast Booming Blade twice. So that's cool. That's really neat. Or you can do a plethora of other things, which is great. So you can make 4 attacks, and if you kill something, then you get a 5th attack as a bonus action. So that's also really nice. So there's just a lot going on here that you can do. And I think that you all will have fun with that. So, or you could cast Booming Blade twice, and then because of Mystic Frenzy, you then get a bonus action weapon attack as well. So you're going to be using your bonus action to attack most of the time. So you're getting a lot of really good use and a lot of extra attacks. You're getting a lot of hits in, which is wonderful. At Blood Hunter 9, we get Grim Psychometry, so we know about the spoops. That's about it. At Blood Hunter 10, we get Dark Augmentation, so some extra movement speed, and we get to add our intelligence to strength, dex, and constitution saving throws. So our concentration checks just got even better, which is amazing. We then at Blood Hunter 11 get our Brand of the Searing Scar. Brand of the Searing Scar is a great feature for us because when we brand something with our Brand of Castigation, which just comes with any of our now 5 attacks potentially, we can brand the creature, and it now has disadvantage on saves from our spells. So things like Crown of Madness, things like our Hold Person, anything like that, they now have disadvantage on that save. So even if you felt like you had a mediocre saving DC, yeah, we're kind of fixing that. And so yeah, here we are at level 13. They have disadvantage on that save just because we hit them with an attack. I think that's a great trade to me. I think that's fantastic. Then at Blood Hunter 12, we're still taking another feat. I know. Dapper, what are you doing taking all these feats? You literally never do this. I know, I'm the one who takes ASIs all the time. I wanted to go nuts with the feats this time, all right? However, we're taking a half feat, so that'll make you happy as well. So we're taking Slasher. Slasher gives us a few things. Number one, it gives us a +1 to our strength modifier. So now we are maxed out at 20. I know, it only took forever. It only took till level 14, but we got there. And the other thing, though, is that we now can reduce the speed of our target by 10 feet whenever we deal slashing damage to it. And when we crit, it then has disadvantage on it. Attacks against us for a little bit. So also really good package. We get some great benefits, and adding on to our strength is fantastic. And the thing about it is, if I had taken, say, a +1 in strength, +1 in intelligence, I don't get those other features that may or may not come up. I understand that that critting isn't going to happen all the time, but reducing the speed of a creature by 10 feet is super in line with what we're trying to do, right? We're hunters. We're trying to be able to catch up to things. And if we can slow them down by 10 feet each time we do something, that's pretty nice, right? I think that that's enough of a reason for me to take that. Then Blood Hunter 13, we get our Brand of Tethering, so we can just we can keep you right here. We're doing everything we can to keep people grounded here. We also get our third use of our Blood Maledict, which is great, and then we also get 3rd level spells. Now at this point, I would probably go ahead and drop Hex. I don't think you need it anymore, and I would take Spirit Shroud instead. And I would also take things like Hypnotic Pattern and Counterspell. Counterspell, of course, is a fantastic spell. And yes, we're getting it really late at 3rd level, and so we can't really upcast it. And so that's a little rough, but you still get to roll for it. And so you may or may not succeed. We'll just have to see. It's still worth taking either way, because you might just succeed. So it's worth it. To me, it is. At Blood Hunter 14, we get Hardened Soul, so advantage on Frightened and Charmed conditions, and we get an Esoteric Rite there. So we now have 3 options to choose from. At Blood Hunter 15, we get our Unsealed Arcana, so we learn 1 more spell, and we get Slow. Now we can cast this once per day without using a spell slot, and that's pretty great. Slow is a spell that really scales well, and even without upcasting it, honestly, it's still really cool. So that's a great addition, especially being able to cast it for free. We take those. We absolutely take those. Blood Hunter 16, we get another ASI or feat, and we're going to finally take an ASI and round out our intelligence and our constitution at 16 and 14 respectively, just so that we don't have any more odd numbers. I know that you've been looking for that. We fixed it. Don't worry. It's fine. Everything's fine. Blood Hunter 17, our Blood Maledict is now 4 times per rest. And then finally, our level 20 feature, Blood Hunter 18, we get our Blood Curse of the Soul Eater. And so when a creature dies within 30 feet, we can use our reaction to make sure that weapon attacks have advantage. All of our weapon attacks have advantage. Yeah, that's great. Yes, it doesn't last super long, but like, we like advantage, especially since we've got so many things that help when we crit. Yeah, we're all about that. And that is definitely something that will get used. And when you amplify it, you get a spell slot back. That's also amazing. So yeah, there's literally no downside to taking this. And this is way better of a feature than our level 20 feature. So you might as well take 2 levels of something else. So might as well be this, right? All right, for our honorable mentions, I have a few. So number 1, I wanted to originally pair this with a cleric. Now here's the thing. So Blood Hunter, if you read the Blood Hunter rules here, Blood Hunters can choose between intelligence or wisdom as far as what their spellcasting stat is and what their main stat is here as far as their main ability, secondary ability score. So if your DM allows you to choose wisdom, honestly, a dip into cleric would be really, really nice, and then go with the celestial patron. This gives you a really decent dip here as far as like some healing things. You can get a lot, especially out of the peace domain cleric. You can get a lot out of that. You also could get some out of the grave domain cleric. That would also be pretty good. And there are several others that could definitely work. I would definitely think about the tempest domain cleric, especially a 2-level dip into tempest domain cleric along with your lightning primal rite, because then you could maximize your damage by using your channel divinity. Pretty cool little combination. But yeah, so if you can use wisdom at your table, cleric is a pretty good take, because then you can also get your heavy armor proficiency that way, and it's great. It's really cool. The other thing, of course, is the Blade Singer. The Blade Singer wizard is, of course, amazing, and of course this one is going to focus on intelligence. This will give you a buff to your AC and give you a bunch of great spells, and just honestly, you could do this build almost note for note for what we did. I would switch around a couple of things. I would definitely start with Blood Hunter rather than Wizard, just so that you can have some kind of armor proficiency. But then from there, you could throw in a couple of levels of Wizard for Blade Song, and you'd get a lot. You get a lot out of that. Blade Song is an amazing feature for wizards, and you get a bunch of spells. You can pick up Shield, you can pick up just a bunch of really great stuff. So definitely consider that as well. Feats. Now, I want to go ahead and talk a little bit in depth about this one, because Polearm Master is one that I'm sure you were wondering, why didn't you take that on a polearm build? The reason is because, according to Matt Mercer, and I guess I have to agree with him on this, is that when you go to light up your weapon, you can light up the sword end of your glaive, right? That is, you're lighting that up. Polearm Master allows you to make a bonus action attack with the butt end of the weapon, which is a D4 damage die. If you want to light that up, you have to use another bonus action in order to light that up. I don't think it's worth it to me, and that's why we have so many other options of ways to make attacks on our bonus action as far as full attacks, that I don't think that that's going to come up. The only thing that I hate missing out on is being able to make opportunity attacks when something enters our area. So that's one thing that I would love to be able to do. So again, Polar Master is not necessarily useless. You're just going to only get half of it. But you know, if you think about it, you can still get a lot of use out of it, because if they're moving towards you and they have a 5-foot reach, you cast Booming Blade at 10-foot range. They have to then move the rest of the 5 feet in order to close the distance. So you're gonna guarantee do that Booming Blade damage to them. So it's not necessarily a bad option at all. I just didn't take it on this build, but it is definitely viable. So definitely consider it. But I just wanted to let you know, if you're going to be using it for the butt end attacks, you have to do that separately. And that's 2 bonus actions rather than 1 when we would like to be making attacks. And we don't want to have to be lighting things up for 2 rounds. It just takes too long. Then finally for our races. Goliath. I mean, come on. Goliath is wonderful. You get to scare people because you're so big. Same thing with Leonin. Honestly, Leonin I would pick in the same vein. That is a bonus action for Leonins, which is good. And you get some natural weapons, which we would never use. But you get some really cool stuff out of Leonin and for Goliath. The next one is Warforged. Warforged gives us a nice little bump to our AC. And so that's really cool. And a Warforged Blood Hunter is just such a cool idea to me. So I guess it's just like the oils and fluids that are going throughout your body that you use, because those are technically what keep you alive. So I think that's a really cool take on it. My favorite one would definitely be an Order of the Lycan Warforged. I don't know how that works, but I'd love to know. And then finally, Mountain Dwarf. Mountain Dwarf, you get a lot of Mountain Dwarf stuff, especially the +2/+2 to help get your intelligence and your strength up quickly would be really, really nice, as well as, you know, resistance to poison and that sort of thing as well. So that is our build for today. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Next week, we're starting talking about clerics, and I know that that's a lot of people's favorite class, so we have a lot to talk about. And then we're talking about cleric for almost 4 months because there are so many of them. So I hope you guys are ready to strap in for the long haul, because I'm ready, and we are going to get on that starting next week. So until then, stay safe out there, stay healthy. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.